I want to actually cover a little bit of Alabama basketball news. So, just so that you guys are aware, this weekend on September the 6th, when Alabama plays Louisiana Monroe, and we will cover the game here very shortly, Alabama basketball will be having its first official visitors of the season. This is going to be ongoing here for the rest of the next home games that Alabama has. This first weekend, we've got Terrace Bowie, Chris Washington Jr., and Ikenna Aloisi, that's going to be all touring on their official visits. Terrace Bowie officially is the lowest ranked guy at 52nd in the country. Chris Washington is 41st, and Aloisi is 36th. All three of these guys, obviously, around consensus top 50 players per on three, all of our basketball rankings. These are all really, really top prospects. Aloisi being a point guard and the other two guys being more small forwards, more of that wing position that we, see Alabama playing a ton of. These are guys where I know with Bowie, Nate Oats has visited him a couple of times, and this is a guy that Nate Oats has been pretty big on, so I am very curious to see, how these official visits go and what happens. Next week is going to be a really, really big one. We have two top guys coming in, and Duron Rippey and Jackson Richardson. Richardson obviously being the son of Jason Richardson and brother of Jace Richardson. This is a guy that Alabama has been on heavily. Alabama actually visited him for an in-house visit yesterday as of time of recording, so I believe that was on Wednesday. So just a little bit of a heads up, there's some very big visits upcoming. I know there's also some visitors scheduled for the 3rd, 10th, and 18th. So just a little bit of a heads up, these are going to be this is some of the busiest time from a recruiting standpoint. I know the football team will also have their recruits in. I know some of our commits are going to be coming in and others. So if you are going to the game and you see people with the recruit badges, give them a warm welcome, because that is something that you will be seeing a lot of here upcoming very, very soon. Excuse me. Additionally, on the Alabama basketball recruiting front, just a little bit of a heads up. As I mentioned, Nate Oats has been visiting with a couple of guys in person here this week. First one was Jason Richardson's son in Jackson Richardson. He also visited Baba Alandoton. I'm sorry, it was a 5-star forward earlier today per 24/7. So Nate Oats has been busy on the recruiting trail. I'm sure some of that's going to be seeing, if these guys potentially want officials. I know Nate's very kind of stingy when it comes to official visits. He doesn't want the people to kind of just be lining up official visits so that they can get tickets to a big game, like for the Alabama-Georgia game last year, for example. This is something they try to be as picky with as they can. Obviously, you want to, get the best shot you can to land a kid, but that is something to just be a little bit of heads up on. Nate's very busy on the recruiting trail currently. It is something I expect to kind of see more of here in the next coming weeks. But like I said, I know we didn't have a ton of basketball to discuss. Just want to mention a couple of names because, like I said, I know this is something that this time of year does start ramping up fairly quickly on the basketball side, and I don't want to lose it with all the football that's going to be coming on. I will let you guys know, I think, and I need to reach back out to him, but I think what we're going to do is I think I'm going to try to have Max Barr on for the Alabama off week. So we've got obviously this week with Louisiana Monroe and next week with Wisconsin. I believe I'm going to see if I can have Max come on the next week as kind of a, SEC basketball kind of breakdown, just to give some content for the show, because I know that a lot of fans that are subscribed to this channel are big into the basketball news, because that is something that obviously we cover here, and we're one of a few channels that actually covers this in depth, as often as possible. So I just want to make sure that you guys kind of have the content that you all be interested in. So like I said, I'm going to have Max come on. We're going to talk all things SEC basketball. Of course, we will talk about Alabama, but I also want to get his kind of perspective on what he thinks about the rest of the SEC, because I'm sure he's dived much deeper into some of these rosters with all the transfer portal moves here this offseason than I have with him being over at Southeastern 16. So let's